What's up, my writing weirdos? Hey, I am BC, and this is my channel, BC Brown Books, where I am going to host some writing sprints tonight, some pop-up writing sprints, because as you can see, I obviously can't frickin' sleep. So I figured if I can't sleep, I might as well get some shit done, and I might as well have a little bit of productivity to my night, and at least I'm not sitting around and just binging Netflix for the night, although I could binge some Netflix too, honestly. I really could. But I really just want to get some writing done for the night. And so I figured I'd go ahead and see about, go ahead and stream for a little while and just have some fun and just be my weirdo self because I hit toothpicks in my eye, needing toothpicks for my eyes about 2 hours ago to keep them open, but my body and my brain refuses to let me actually sleep. So since it refuses to let me sleep, I figure I'm gonna do some writing, damn it. And y'all get to see me in my very sleep-deprived state. So without further ado, if you guys don't know who I am BC, and this is BC Brown Books, where I like to get weird about words in the ways that pretty much writers can, and only writers can. And that's pretty much me in a nutshell right there. I'm also a paranormal mystery and urban fantasy author. I write contemporary women's lit as well as transgressive fiction as well. And I do a lot of blogging and vlogging on my channel about how to be a better writer, how to publish easier, and how to market your books more effectively. So with that said, I want to say hi to everybody that is here and joining me for this pop-up sprint tonight, or a pop-up stream tonight, and for the writing sprints. And yeah, anyway, I'm gonna get down to some writing like right away. So let's go ahead and do like maybe 15 minutes is what I'm thinking. I really like to do the 15-minute sprints because it's just enough time for me to focus but not get too sucked in to everything so that I don't pay attention to what I'm actually doing on the screen, and I don't just completely block everybody out. So the 15-minute sprints for me seem to work really, really well. So I'm going to go ahead and do a 15-minute sprint. That would be my phone that everybody is hearing. I wonder who the hell is talking to me at 2 o'clock in the morning. Somebody else that should be definitely asleep because I know his butt's got to work tomorrow. But he probably can't sleep either. So it's been really weird. So for those of you that don't know, the reason that I can't sleep is because I'm super excited. We're super excited. We are in underwriting right now for our house that we are buying. And I have been dying for the last month while I've been waiting for this house to finish up and going through the process of buying it and everything. And so I know that that's what it is. I know that it's just my brain just going on and on and on about how I'm going to paint my new office and all the shit I'm going to do and where I'm going to put all my skull collections and all my skeletons at and stuff like that. But since I can't sleep, I might as well write. Right? It's not right. All right, so let's go ahead and do a 15-minute sprint, like I said, I don't know, a minute ago now that I've rambled and just talked just incoherently. So we'll go ahead and try a 15-minute sprint and go ahead and get that started, and then I will talk with y'all in another 15 minutes. that is the end of the first sprint for tonight for 15 minutes. A few of you popped in while I was on the sprint because I did kind of start that pretty quick. So I just want to say hey to Alley Cat, good to see you. Let me do this real quick or else I'm gonna get behind. Okay, sorry. Chaotically Kath, I think this is the first time I've seen you on my channel, so good to see you. Good to see that you were over at Brooks Write-In. I had a lot of fun on Brooks Write-In. I'm glad that I came across it. Like, I couldn't sleep, like I said, and so I just popped on YouTube seeing who was up and who was doing what, and scheduled myself a sprint anyway. And then I thought, I'll just go and check and see what Brooke's doing on her channel if she had anything going on. And of course she did, and had a lot of fun during it. So Alley Cat, looks like it's about an hour. You're about an hour ahead of me. So let's see how you survive. Let's see how I survive too. Like I said, I hit toothpick mode for my eyes like a couple of hours ago because normally I'm up by like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. So I'm not normally awake at this time of day, night, day, whatever. Yeah, whatever it is. And so, but my brain can't go to sleep. So since my brain can't go to sleep, I figured I might as well get up and write for a little bit. Chaotically Kath, 4:09 a.m. there. Understand how that is. Hey, Mika, good to see you. I think this is the first time I've seen you on my channel, so good to see you. And it looks like you were over at Brooke's stream as well. Just trying to fix the hole in a scene before I can either continue writing it or go and make lunch since it's the middle of the day here for me. Hey, it's always good to take care of yourself when you can. So I'm kind of in the same process right now of the scene that I am working on is one of those filler scenes that's necessary for like the whole plot. But I'm having a really hard time actually because the information is a bit of a repeat. It's not really repeated information. It's kind of summarized information, but it needs to be told to this other character that wasn't present for it. And so I've got to do this like little tiny summary scene before I can jump into the next big scene. And I'm having a really hard time getting there. So I didn't get a whole lot done on this last sprint. As a matter of fact, I got 212 words, which is not bad. It's actually, pretty good. I'm not mad about it or anything like that. I'm happy for like every single word that I can manage to log, especially when I'm up at weird hours. And I write really well during the wee hours of the day. It's just the wee hours of the day is usually 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning rather than 2 o'clock in the morning, but I'll take it. I will take it. Mika says, I feel like everyone's sleeping schedule or schedule in general is messed up because of what's happening in the world. That's kind of true. Part of the reason my sleep schedule is all screwed up today is because for some reason I got up, I was doing my normal Saturday stuff. So I was hanging out with my partner and we were just spending time together. We watched a little bit of TV and everything. And then we were super tired. We watched, we like watching wrestling, pro wrestling. So we were watching pro wrestling's Money in the Bank, which we hadn't seen that pay-per-view yet. And so we were watching it, but as soon as it ended, I was falling asleep and it was middle of the afternoon and I just couldn't keep my eyes open at all. So I know it's because I ended up falling asleep and taking a 2-hour nap this afternoon. Plus on top of that, we're like I said, we're closing on our house this week. And so I'm super excited about closing on my new house and everything. So plus my schedule has just been a little weird because, everything that's going on in the world right now, not really being able to go out and go places to kind of fill time. Even though I have more than enough to do, I have plenty of writing to do. I have plenty of stuff to read. I have plenty of stuff to paint. I can go for bicycle rides all I want and do all that kind of fun stuff. I think it's just all kind of screwy at the moment. Chaotically Kath, schedule would be different if you were still working right now. A lot of people's schedules are really messed up because of it. Mika, I don't mind the messed up schedule as long as I can get some book stuff in. That is true. Very, very true. I am very grateful for the amount of time that I can spend writing right now, which I'm not working anyway. I'm full-time writing at the moment anyway. But I know I would be more distracted. I know I'd be going out and doing more things, and I would be more social. And instead, like right now, I'm just spending time writing because I have the time to write, and I don't have any other kind of distractions on my plate. So I understand that. Yay, you're able to start figuring out what the problem is with your scene. In your scene, you sadly have to kill 2 characters, so a huge mess needs to happen in order for that to happen, but it also happens at the wedding celebration. So a lot wow, that is a lot to handle. That's a lot of descriptor too, to have to handle. You have to kill 2 characters in one scene, in just one scene, or you have to kill 2 characters coming up, and this is your build-up scene to that scene. I'm kind of curious now. Hi, Serena. Good to see you. I think this is the first time that you've been here on my channel, so really good to see you. Depends on the baby for you. Right after having him, you wrote at 4 in the morning. Now you have to work again and can only write after baby sleeps. Yeah, there are I've got a lot of writer friends here on AuthorTube that come to the various streams and stuff, and a lot of what they have to do is a lot of the parental stuff. And then once they get the parental stuff down, then they can use the sprints to write. But I think, it's just that trade-off. I don't have kids myself. I do have a niece and nephew, but my niece and nephew are now adults. So it's really, I don't have a good reference anymore about what that's like. Plus, when my niece and nephew were babies, my sister lived like overseas, and her husband was in the Army, so they traveled all the time for military, and they lived all sorts of different places. So I didn't have a huge amount of like perspective on what it's actually like to have like that whole parental thing going on. And I don't plan on having that perspective. So let me see here. Shermir jumped on me, but Chaotic the Cath tends to do the best writing at night and early in the morning. A lot of writers tell me that. I do my best writing like in the early morning and during the day, like during the early part of the day. I think though part of it is just because I have ADD, and with ADD, I'm constantly fighting my own distractions and having to like find my focus. And I can focus really well as long as I'm really awake and alert. And I'm pretty awake and alert right after I wake up, as long as I don't have to interact with people, if that makes sense. So if I don't have to interact with people like first thing in the morning, I'm actually very awake and alert for being in my own head. And so that's why I can write really well at that time of day. But the later on in the day it gets, the less I'm able to focus, because the more distracted I am, because the more my body is awake at that point and not my brain so much. My brain has already exhausted itself for the day, and then my body is super awake. So I have like this weird dichotomy between my brain and my body and when they're energetic, and it's never at the same fucking time. Like right now, my body is screaming at me that I should be in bed, and you can probably hear it even in my voice because to me, it feels raspier. So, so my body is like screaming at me, but my brain is like, you know what, yo, you staying up now. So.
What are you doing awake right now, dude?
Well, I'm live streaming right now.
Huh?
I'm live streaming right now.
You're live streaming right now?
Yes, I am.
At 69 in the morning?
Yes, I am. Hey, everybody, that's my roommate.
Hi, I hope everyone having a good time at fucking negative 48 in the morning.
Negative 40 in the morning, at 69 in the morning, whatever.
It's negative 48 a.m. now.
Okay, negative 48 a.m.
Negative 48. Sorry, I'm annoying. Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Mega is saying best time early morning, maybe till some in the middle of the day. Yeah, that's definitely what mine is. Sometimes till early evening. If you get that kind of a stretch, then awesome. But it does, like you said, depend a little bit on the day, and most importantly, what you're writing. So that I understand. So Allie got 114 words edited on the sprint. Awesome, Allie. Serena says it's the first time here, popped over from Brooke's channel, was busy doing baby stuff during that sprint. Baby's sleeping now, so taking the time to write. Well, I'm glad I could be doing a sprint. Like I said, I just figured I could be doing something with my time since I obviously was not sleeping like I'm supposed to be sleeping. As you can see, I tend to jump all around the comments, so, you know. Let me see here. Jumped on me. Divided by site, coffee time. I don't actually drink coffee, so I'm very much a tea kind of girl, and I drink a lot of soda. That's really where most of my caffeine comes from. Right now, I'm trying to be sleepy, so I'm drinking decaffeinated tea for the night. But you know, eventually I'll crash. I'll either crash here in a little bit and I'll get a tiny bit of sleep before my partner gets up to go to his job tomorrow because he's pulling a little extra hours, or I just won't crash and I'll just push my way through, and it'll be a day of just like zoning out in front of the TV and watching a lot of Netflix, which I really can't do because I need to get some videos edited and stuff to go up on my YouTube channel for next week, because I'm really behind. So that's another thing that's been, that I've been doing lately, is that even though I've got all this time and, you know, we've all got all this time to do stuff, I think we've hit the point where we've had so much time for so long that now we've reached that point of like the vacation where you're like, I have so much to do, but I'm so bored I have nothing to do, if that makes sense. So I'm so bored with the shit that I've been doing for so long that now I have nothing to do, and I feel that way a lot lately. So Natalie, it is really nice to see you, Natalie. I think this is the first time I've had you here on my channel. Your name doesn't look familiar to me, so good to see you, my fellow writing weirdo, and hopefully you're here and able to get some sprints or get some writing done or some kind of productivity done. I don't really care what you're doing. You could write, you could paint, you could sing, you could clean your house, you could make yourself food, whatever. I like the social interaction and just being able to chat with folks in between doing whatever it is I decide to be productive on, which will probably be about 15 different things, because again, can't sleep, so my brain is just racing, which means that, yeah, I can write, but I'm struggling with this scene, so I'm there. That's where I'm at. Serena, always wanted kids, free time shortened by a lot, don't mind though. Searching for some writing time, but I always get at least 15 minutes in. That's good. That's good. I know that a lot of people have trouble when they have kids with trying to find the time to write. So Lauren, I'm like this more at night. Yeah. Like I said, usually mine is at night, but it's actually during the wee hours of the morning when most people are like, why are you awake? Like my roommate was just like, why are you up right now? Because it is so weird for me to be up at this particular time. So, make 2 characters must die in one scene in duels, which I need to write. First duel happens because of the hate between 2 characters and one of them dies, both side characters, and a huge misunderstanding. That is going to be one hell of a heavy scene. Like 2 characters dying, even if they're side characters, that's going to be like all the feels for the reader for you right there. It's just going to be like, ugh, like kill me now, because these characters have just died. Yeah, Steph, good to see you. And yes, my roommate is an awesome and a really fun guy. My partner and I just adore him. He's a really good friend that a little over a year ago, he was just really looking to get out of the place that he was in. And so we didn't really have an extra bedroom because it was my office at the time. But he really wanted to get out of where he was living. And so we were like, you know what? I don't have to have like a complete dedicated office. We can figure out something else to do with like the other spare room that we have, which I'm obviously not in at the moment because we're packing and moving. So I'm like in a corner in my dining room right now. So you get to see all my crap behind me from where we've been packing and all my food in the kitchen and everything. So you get to see my filthy house at the moment for packing and doing all of that stuff. But yeah, he's a lot of fun. He came home a little bit ago. He's been out over at a friend's house for the night. So second duel happens between MC and side character. MC defends his little brother and his family. Side character dies in the duel, which is very important, so the MC gets arrested. Ooh, so it's one of those scenes. Okay, it's one of those that definitely drives the plot, or at least something like that. Need coffee. Lauren needs coffee before I talk to anyone, let alone write. So yeah, my weird thing in the morning is that I have to have a massive amount of water before I can do like really anything. So I keep like a giant thing of water on the bedside table beside me that's like a full hydro flask full of water, so that I know I have water first thing in the morning, because I don't really wake up in the middle of the night except for tonight for some reason. But I don't really wake up in the middle of the night normally to drink water or to like get up and go to the restroom or anything. I might wake up in the middle of the night right now because we have kittens, and those I just worry about them. So I tend to wake up and check on them at least once or twice, but they're always curled up asleep around my partner's head. So I don't know why I do. I just always check on them, probably just because they're so little right now. But yeah, water is what I always need first thing in the morning, and I'm not very pleasant to people for a while after, because my brain, that like a while after I wake up, because my brain is just like totally crazy first thing in the morning. I've got to journal and do all of that stuff and just get all of my dreams, because I'm a really vivid dreamer, so I got to get all that shit out of my brain. Nah, dude. Used to drink coffee but quit over a year ago. Now I drink tea. Yeah, I'm really big on my tea. Allie is one of those writers that doesn't drink caffeine. You know, I know a lot of writers actually that don't drink caffeine. So Natalie, yeah, first time here, been thriving with my writing in the last 2 months. I'm down to 17% of my book left to do and on track to finish it at the end of the month. I write primarily fantasy. That is awesome. That is really awesome that you know kind of exactly where you're at and exactly where you're going. I mean, I always have a really good idea where I'm at and a pretty good idea how close to the end I am because of my outlines and things like that. But you know, I don't always know how close I am to the end of the book. I write a lot of fantasy as well, or at least I'm writing dark fantasy at the moment. I write paranormal mysteries and urban fantasy, paranormal mysteries / urban fantasy, whatever you want to call it. So lost my train of thought there for a second. So that's, you know, I understand like those fantasy books can just be like massive word counts. And so the fact that you've got that much done is really impressive. Glad to know I'm not the only one that needs water first thing in the morning. Yeah, Lauren, it's just, I didn't used to drink enough water like at all. And when I moved here to Arizona, everybody, you know, just kept reminding me how important it was to just keep drinking water and just keep drinking water. Because here we don't notice when we get dehydrated because the sweat evaporates off of us so quickly that you kind of just don't even notice. With just the dry air, sweat just kind of evaporates really quickly and you don't notice how dehydrated you are. So when I started to give up my soda addiction, which was really bad, it was a really bad soda addiction. I used to be a 911 dispatcher, and I used to take like those big, giant jugs of like, you'd get at like the gas station, those big, giant jugs. I used to take those, like 2 of those to work every night and drink those. And when I started to kick the addiction, I started replacing it with more water. And my partner drinks a ton of water. So I just kind of tried to match him for drinking water, which I still don't drink as much water as he does, but I do pretty well though. Hey, Sage, good to see you. Oh, I'm sorry that you're not feeling so great. That really sucks. So hopefully the meds are able to like make you feel a little bit better, and your puppers will make you feel a little bit better. Doggos are good for that. Doggos are really good for, cuddling on and spend a little time with them. A little fresh air maybe make you feel good too. I just realized that my banner is still on, y'all. Somebody should have said something. You gotta help me here. Gotta help me. Oh, never mind. Nobody can help me. I'm kind of beyond help. So, Mika is writing dark fantasy at the moment, but wrote a romance trilogy before. That is a huge genre shift. Natalie writes epic fantasy, fairy tale retellings with a twist, and historical fantasy. Also writes sci-fi, mystery, and romance. So you dabble in just like a little bit of almost everything, it sounds like. Or all of them in a single story when I put the genres into the genre blender. I understand that. So I have people describe my writing to me differently all the time. Like people are like, oh, you write paranormal romances. I'm like, yeah, I guess there's a romance subplot to them, but not really. Okay, sure, whatever. If that's what floats your boat and that's what you likes, then yeah, that's what I write, I guess. So speaking of things to write, we probably should do another one of those sprints because it sounds like a good idea, and that is what I got on here for. So yeah, the doggos are good, but not interested in me because they're waiting by the gate for Mr. Sage to come home. Well, he's been gone for a couple of days, so they really miss him. That's how things are at my house. My partner gets so mad at me because he wants to spend time with the animals, but the animals, if I'm gone, the animals are all about when is the female human getting home. And speaking of one of my animals, you can probably hear my cat, one of the cats in the background. All right, you are ready? We are ready. So we will go ahead and do another 15-minute sprint. Starting in 3, 2, 1, sprint. right. That is the end of that 15-minute sprint. Hey, Broken Pages, good to see you. Glad that you could pop in. Doing pretty well, except for I can't freaking sleep. So, like I was telling people, I know it's just excitement because we're closing on our house this week, and all of that is like, it's in underwriting right now. So my brain is just going crazy with the excitement of it. Lauren likes to write paranormal, romance, fantasy, and poetry. All good genres. All good genres. Alley Cat has been staring at the screen and getting very distracted. Know that feeling quite well. And right when Mika said that they were ready, they got a very important phone call, so fell out of figuring out the scene. That's the way it works. That is always the way it works. So let me see. God, my cat is going to town on his cat tree back there. If y'all can't see him. Let's see, what did I get done that time? I feel like I didn't get that much done, but I got more. I got a little more than I did last time. Like I said, I'm really tripping over the scene. Don't know quite what the deal is. The scene's important. Something important has to happen in it. And the information that I have to give secondary characters in the story is really important in order for things to progress later on. But it's the fact that all this stuff already happened. So I've got to figure out how to retell it in a fresh way, and that's, I think, what's tripping me up a little bit on it. But I did manage to get 248 words, so I'm not exactly sneezing at that. Gonna check my Facebook real quick. Let's see. Sage forgot to check we're started. We got some scripting done. That's always good. It's not always a matter of knowing exactly how much you got done. Sometimes it's just knowing that you got stuff done. So that's what's important. Alley Cat got 51 and thinks the brain is shutting down. I understand that. Yep, Sage, you definitely see my kitty in the background. My kitty is very upset with me because it's kitty curfew time and he's a black cat, so he's not allowed to go out after dark. But I'm awake. So he thinks it's morning time, which is normally like dawn, and that's when he can go out. So he's upset and like going to town on his cat tree and scratching at the back door, hoping he gets to go out. So just starting at the screen, dreaming of coffee. I'll wake up the rest of my house if I go in the kitchen. That kind of sucks. So the kitchen and the dining room and the living room are the safe zones in our house. Those are the areas that anybody can go into and not wake up the whole house. It's if I go to like the bathroom down the hall that we start to get close to the bedrooms, and there are lights then that people can see through under doors and around doors. So that's a problem. Thank you, Mika. That's one of my kitties. That is my Gozer, the Gozerian. That's his name. And he is my black cat. I love him to death. He's so sweet and such a cute cat. He's about 3 years old. Some friends rescued him off of the street, and his whole litter was abandoned, and they rescued him off of the street. And nobody wanted him because he was the only black kitty. So we took him because people are stupid and black cats are amazing. People are stupid with their superstitions. So now we also have 2 kittens. Same deal. Litter was abandoned in a park. Some friends found them. So we decided to go ahead and take 2 of the kittens this time so that they'd have siblings and they'd be able to adjust to our very animal full house because we have a cat and 2 dogs right now, a pit bull and a German shepherd. So we brought the other 2 kittens in so that they could get used to, they could have each other when we brought them in, because when we brought our other cat in, it was our German shepherd and my little tiny dog. So there wasn't so much of a, like, I guess, culture shock for him when we brought him in, but yeah, it was sad because he's such a good cat too. Like, he doesn't claw up your hands, he doesn't attack you. You can pull on his tail, you can touch his feet, you can, like, he's just the sweetest cat in the world. He's been a bit of a demon for the last week because we brought the 2 kittens in, so I think he felt he was being replaced. And so he's kind of been a bit of an asshole for the last week, but he's starting to break out of it, and he's starting to actually like sniff at the kittens and be okay. So I think all is good now. And that's good to hear, Natalie. I love German Shepherds too. Ours is actually, she's half Border Collie, half German Shepherd. So she looks like the German Shepherd, but she got the short legs of a Border Collie. So she's got this big German Shepherd body on these little tiny Border Collie legs. She's kind of funny looking, but she's sweet. We rescued her as well. We didn't really rescue her. We kind of adopted her from a friend who was going to have to take her to a shelter because he couldn't keep her anymore. And we ended up taking her from him. So, well, thank you, Allie. Yes, they definitely, they're going to be spoiled like crazy. So, yes, I agree with Lauren that it's good that you got some editing done. So that's good. Somehow at 4 a.m. your time. Hey, sometimes we got to do stuff in the middle of the night like that. Like I'm doing right now. Meow. What am I kitty meowing at? Yeah? No. It's not sunrise yet. You can't go out yet. He's going to probably be very vocal because he's going to want to go outside. And he can't for like another 2 hours, I think. Let's see. Let's think about that. Yeah, it is a very sad meow. He's trying to make me feel bad for not letting him go outside. Oh, that's sad. Family gave it away because your family was moving. That's sad. I don't know what I would do without my animals. I would be so mad if anybody got rid of my animals. That's why we ended up taking our German Shepherd, was because our friend had no choice, but he was downsizing. He didn't have a house that was going to be big enough to have all of his animals we had. And there's my cat being a pendejo because I haven't let him outside yet. So it's 6 a.m. and I usually don't get up till noon. I'll wake up in the middle of the night. That sucks. So I didn't really wake up in the middle of the night tonight. I laid down trying to go to sleep and I dozed a little bit, but it was one of those like you're aware of everything that's going on dozing. And then I realized I wasn't like slipping any deeper into sleep. I was just sitting there at that doze status. And so I thought, screw this, I'm just going to get up and write. Yours was a German Shepherd Border Collie mix too? She lived to an amazing 18 years. We had adopted her at age 10. That is awesome. German Shepherd Border Collie mixes usually don't live to be that old. So that was really, really wonderful that you were able to have her that long. Will you knock it off? You're not going out. So he used to be able to go out at night because he had this blinking collar that he could wear, but he doesn't have that collar right at the moment because the batteries ran out, so he's not allowed to go out after dark anymore. Mika says, now I can't have any pets because it turned out there's a red skin that I had when my partner is also allergic to cats, and we have 3 of them now. His choice entirely. When I asked if we could get a cat, he was like, yeah, I'll just adjust. It'll be no big deal. And then all of a sudden that, we had this chance to get these 2 other cats. And I was like, I'd really like to give them a home, but I don't want you to be miserable. And he's like, I'll just adjust and take some more allergy medicine. We're going to give them a home no matter what. Alley Cat, I speak terrible Spanish. I know a lot of curse words, and I know just about enough to get by at the carniceria. I do live in the barrio, so I can understand quite a bit of Spanish. I just don't speak it particularly well. My hearing issues that I have, I don't quite get the inflection and the accent right on a lot of things. So a lot of people just kind of, I guess, pardon the gringa for not being able to particularly like place the right accent on things, and they give me a lot of leeway when I have to ask what I'm doing, and or if I have to ask if I'm saying things right. So I assume that question was at me, since I did say pendejo. So alley cat is allergic to animal fur, though all that happens is my nose getting stuffy and eye waters. That didn't stop me from having dogs. You know, my partner being allergic to cats hasn't stopped us from having 3 cats now. His nose gets stuffy and he sneezes a lot. And if he doesn't take his allergy medicine, then his eyes, wow, that's somebody's vehicle. But if he didn't take his allergy medicine, then his eyes would be really, really bad. Like they'd be really puffy and red and itchy. But according to him, he will adjust to having multiple cats in the house because he's lived with them before. So we'll see. He and I have been together for like 10 years, and in this time we've only had dogs except for the 1 cat. And he adjusted. It took him a couple of weeks to adjust to having the 1 cat. So I assume it's going to take him a couple of weeks to adjust to having 3 cats in the house all of a sudden. Lauren, I think she was asking me specifically about Spanish because I use the word pendejo, which is asshole in Spanish, which is what I call my cat all the time. I think he almost knows it better than his own name. Meka can speak Korean a bit, just spaced out while figuring out the grammar. I do understand Korean well, just lacking speaking practice. That is my problem, I think, mostly with Spanish, is that I learned the vocabulary really well. I guess I taught myself the vocabulary just from the supermarket when we moved here. So we've been in Arizona now. It'll be 7 years this fall. And when we moved in originally, we were really in the barrio, like the deep barrio, when we moved here. And all the ads came across in Spanish, and then like one ad would come across and then the immediate English would follow it, and then another ad would come across in Spanish and an immediate English ad would follow it. So I started picking up the vocabulary, but I was really bad about the grammar, and I don't speak it very well. But I understand it well enough as long as my hearing aids are turned on. Makes sense. Spanish can be hard. Still suck at it. I kind of can do an accent, but it's probably bad. I sound like I can get to. Yeah, I was asking you. Yeah. Okay. Well, I just assumed that you were because I used a Spanish word. I guess I speak Spanglish. It's just a bit of Spanish mixed in with my English most of the time. It's just kind of like my sign language. Half the time it's just a word here and there in sign, and along with being oral as well. Okay. Yeah, I think most people sneeze when they come in contact when they're allergic to something. Do not scratch on my chair, cat. You know better. He's really mad at me now. He's like grabbing onto my chair, scratching on it. Never mind Spanish, try Swedish. I've been living here in Sweden for 5 years and still can't speak it. I can understand it though if someone speaks it slow enough. I can only imagine. I can't really understand most languages now. With my hearing loss, it's hard for me to pick up new languages at this point, so I can't even imagine. But it's 7 years ago when we first started living here, my hearing wasn't as bad, and my hearing aids helped out a whole bunch more. So I was able to pick up more Spanish and a little bit of Ethiopian. I'm not even sure what's spoken per se in Ethiopia, but we had a really large refugee community that was like a block from our house. So they would sit outside a lot, and when I would walk the dog, I would hear them talking, and I picked up a little bit of stuff here and there, just their combination English and whatever the actual language is. So I know a couple of words. I studied Spanish at school and gave up after 1 year of trying my best in it. My teacher was very mean to me, so I gave up and started getting F's in Spanish till I graduated a few years ago. Yeah. Learning a new language can be a lot on who's teaching it to you. I hated learning my sign language at first because the tutor that was teaching me sign was really a dick about it. Didn't understand that I had grown up hearing, and that my deafness was genetic, and that it was a disorder that I was like gradually building on itself. So I had adopted a lot of like adaptive mannerisms. I learned how to read lips, and they hated that I was reading lips and relying on that instead of just using sign. And they hated that I had my hearing aids, and it was a whole big thing. And it was just a big, I didn't end up staying with that tutor for very long, obviously, because they were a big pain in the ass. So, Alley Cat's father was Hispanic, and her mom learned Spanish. She said that at times, and me being in this person doesn't swear, wondered what it was until I was told he was swearing. I actually learned most of my Spanish swear words way before I ever moved here to Arizona. I learned a lot of them from movies and stuff. So. Yeah, I'm allergic to animals too. Built up a resistance. Cats affect me more than dogs, but if I'm around them long enough, it calms down. Yeah, that's what my partner says will happen, is even though there's more cats now, that eventually, I just feel bad because I don't know what it's like to have that kind of an allergy. The only allergy I have is to coconut. And basically, if I eat coconut, it just makes me incredibly sick. And if I use it on my skin, then my skin kind of breaks out in a rash, and like I just get itchy. But it's not like anything swells. I don't sneeze. My eyes don't get itchy. So I don't get that part. But he says that it'll be fine. I have to believe in my guess. Part Hispanic that isn't fluent. I'm trying to get better at that. My parents are divorced now with a better guy, but that's another story. It's probably a story that'll influence your stories a little bit. Don't worry, my parents are divorced too, and even my mom and my stepdad are no longer together. And my mom and my adopted dad were never together, so that's a whole story in and of itself. But yeah. The adopted dad's a really good guy, so that's what's important. Yeah, puffy eyes, pretty common with allergic reactions to things. Alley Cat also took Spanish in school for 4 years, and another year of Duolingo. That's my brother for some reason. He's gotten the sucky teachers and went from liking it to hating Spanish. Yeah, it does really depend on the teacher. I agree. You have a great Korean teacher and you're a tutor yourself. I have a friend who, actually I may have to reach out to you, Mika, at some point for Korean. I have a friend who speaks Korean, but it's hard to get in touch with her because right now she's teaching English in Saudi Arabia, which I don't know if she speaks Arabic or not. I never did actually ask her that, but that's where she's teaching at the moment. And she's been proofing my Korean for me in the manuscript that I'm currently writing, which is the third book in my Metaphysical Chronicles series. There's a character in it who, while he speaks English almost exclusively, he uses terms of endearment that are in Korean. So I've been having her like double check on things for me. But she doesn't speak. Like, it's hard for her to say for certain what a term of endearment that a man would give a woman versus, what a woman would give a man. Because from what I understand, there's two very specific there's two very gender-focused languages or dialects to the language with certain vocabularies and stuff. So yeah, Broken Pages. It is very late/early here. As a matter of fact, it is 3:15 in the morning for me right now. So I was telling people basically I couldn't sleep, and couldn't sleep because, you know, we're closing on this house and I'm super excited about it. And my brain's just been going through all of this, like what needs to be done on the house just as soon as we get there, and like what's priority, because it is an older house that we bought. And it's a great house though. It's really quirky and a lot of fun. Really, really matches me and my partner's style, I think. So I've been going through and thinking about all the different stuff I need to know. Yeah, it would be normal for most weirdos to be up at 3 a.m., but not for me, Broken Pages, not for me. I wasn't sure if you wanted me to use your name or not, so I wasn't sure. Okay, Danny. But yeah, it's not normally normal for me to be up at 3 a.m. because normally my butt is up at 4:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. So that's what time I'm normally awake. And I'm normally an early to bed type, which is why I don't get a chance to like be on your streams a lot of times, because they're later in the night for me. And so I don't get a chance to like come to your Friday night stream a lot for that. Let me see here. So you're one of the rare folks, Mika, that also has issues with using coconut on your skin. Yeah, it's a pretty rare allergic reaction from what I understand. Not a lot of people are actually allergic to coconut. That's what I've been told. Alley Cat, my novel I'm working on is influenced on my life and people I know in real life. My last book that came out, Karaoke Jane, was very heavily influenced by a period of time in my life. And some of the conversations that happen in that book are actual conversations that happened with people during that time of my life. So I understand where you're coming at right now. Korean has something like that, which is a bit difficult to understand at first when Korean is not your first language or any Asian language from what I know. Yeah. So Mandarin, I started teaching myself some Mandarin a few years ago, just enough to be conversational. And I don't speak it particularly well, and I don't understand it even particularly well. But it is a language that at first it's a little difficult to kind of understand, and understand like where the difference between the formal and the informal language is coming from. Natalie says their stories are influenced by things that happened in their life. As a child, I was bullied, and the protagonist of my fantasy series was also bullied in her youth. And it is midday in Sweden right now. I'm learning so much about everybody's different time zones. Like before, the only like cognizant like idea I had about different time zones were I knew what time it was approximately in Saudi Arabia, like compared to here, because my friend is in Saudi Arabia right now, and we every so often we try and video chat, which is always like the very beginning of my day, which is the very end of her day, or kind of vice versa. So there's that. And then of course I know what the time zones, I know the difference for the time zones here in the US, but that's because I have family that's in both the Eastern and the Central time zone. And then I have friends that are in the Pacific time zone. So I kind of know what all of our time zones are. But that was about it. But now I know like Australia's and Sweden and London and like all sorts of crazy. I know like South American time zones and how they align, and it's fun. It's really a lot of fun. I'm a Thai friend who doesn't have any problems with learning Korean because her language and Korean are a bit similar with grammar. Yeah, I'm sure that they are probably like have us and that they developed similarly. Bleh. Is that a word? I don't care if it's a word or not. Stupid. It just jumped. Oh, see you, Danny. Have fun. Glad you could stop in for a little bit. I'm gonna go make lunch before I start starving. I appreciate you staying and keeping company. I appreciate that. Hoping to publish romance trilogy next month. I'm gonna do it in April, but lockdown and finance problems happen. Yeah, that really kind of screwed with a lot of people and their publishing. If I had had something that would come out, I had something that I could have, if I had rushed it, could have come out about that time, but obviously I wasn't going to rush it, and it was a bad time for it to come out anyway. And I've since gone back and revisited my timeline for publishing on that particular project, mainly because I have this whole process where once I get to a certain point in the first draft, I start outlining another project. Like I start working on another book. And then that way I am working on the outline, the brainstorming and the outline process for the new book while I'm finishing the first draft. And I can start drafting on that new project when I'm going through second, third drafts, etc., on the previous project. But I didn't do that this time. I finished the third draft on a book and didn't bother to outline the next book, which it is in a series. So now I'm like really behind. I could have published it if I wanted to. It's ready, it's edited, it's ready to go. But since I don't have the second book even started, I am trying to figure out, do I want to go ahead and publish it, or do I want to wait until I have the second book a little further along, which I think is what I'm going to do, honestly. Nobody needs sleep, Danny. I don't need sleep, apparently. That's why I'm up. Lauren wants to know if I find with my hearing loss if I rely on sign language. I do not actually rely on sign language, and the main reason is because not enough people in my immediate world use sign language. I have a few friends that use sign, and they help me stay active with my sign language, so they help me stay like current with using it. I use it just to stay decent with it and to keep it fresh in my mind, but I don't know, like nobody understands it. I sign and people have no idea what I'm saying because nobody around me really learned it or took the time to learn it. I rely on my hearing aids. I rely on people's patience, and I rely on lip reading a lot. That is my big thing. For everything else, like for my live streams and stuff like that, when I have a co-host on my live streams, I have a live captioning service that I pay for. I rely on captioning on YouTube all the time, which is pretty crappy, but it's there and I've got to use it. I rely on captions on TV. I just don't make telephone calls unless I absolutely have to make a telephone call for some reason, and then I struggle through those. I do a lot of video calls, but that's because I can read people's lips, and most people know that they have to face the camera and that they have to take the time to say things. So I use my sign language as much as I can in order to actually stay current on it, but that's pretty much it. Like I said, not enough people in my immediate world use sign language. I used to go to deaf coffee nights, and that way I could kind of keep up on it, but there's a lot of, I hate to say prejudice, but there is some prejudice in the deaf community towards other deaf individuals that are like late stage deaf. So later in life, I grew up hearing and being oral. So my default mode is in trying to listen and in trying to speak. And I also have hearing aids, which is an issue in the deaf community as well with a lot of people. And I rely on my lip reading, and I'm not as advanced in my sign language. I'm not as fluent with it. So there are some issues there. But I use it as much as I can, and I go as much as I can. And to events, I'm always in front of the interpreter whenever I go anywhere. I'm always finding the interpreter and following along to the best of my ability, which is good because it does fill in a lot of gaps that my hearing misses. And especially at large events, if I can't read lips, then I miss a lot of stuff. So Sage's book has been available digitally since October and in paperback internationally since December, but I struggled to find a printer in South Africa. But I got it sorted and had my launch just before lockdown. What is the name of your book, Sage? You can't tell us that you have a book and then not tell us what the name of it is. So we got to be able to promote the crap out of it. So while Sage does that, speaking of books, it's time to get back to my book and get some more writing done for the night. Let's see. I want to do a different timer this time. Probably still do another 15 minutes, but that timer was nice and tranquil and all. But let's face it, tranquil's just not, how I'm feeling tonight. So let me see. Let's try this one. Let's get rid of this. Bring this one up. Let me see. Oh, okay. I think I got it. Stupid ad. All right. Let me bring it up. All right, awesome. Okay, so Sage's book is called Silk. I can't speak all of a sudden. It's called Silk Flower Goodbye, and it is a poetry book. I like the name. I like the title. I do like the title. It's intriguing. So I don't read a lot of poetry. I read primarily, I alpha read poetry for a good friend. But that's pretty much all the poetry I normally read. But usually it's because most poetry books have really boring titles. I hate to say that. It's really kind of mean of me, kind of catty of me. But most of them just have like these really boring titles and I have no idea. But Silk Flower Goodbye makes me wonder. It just makes me wonder. So anyway. So it's a good title. I like it. It intrigued me. That's a good thing. Yes, Natalie, I demand book promotion. So your book series is called The Wolf Riders of Kildara. Ooh, sounds good. I love fantasy. So I read a ton of fantasy and sci-fi and like urban fantasy. Those are like my big genres that are pretty much always on my bookshelf. I read quite a bit of dystopian too, but not as much as I read fantasy and sci-fi and urban fantasy. Yes, I agree. Poetry books tend to be titled really plain or super highbrow, pseudo-intellectual. I agree with you there. So, all right, let's do this writing thing again. Let's see if we can't get this started. And, oop, did I not mean to do that? But we're gonna get the little tiny intro for MC0, who does the timer. All right, there we go. This one has music, fun. All right. There is our sprint. Let me see here. Sage was too busy dancing to script. Well, hopefully you're able to get some scripting done. And of course I distracted Alley Cat, so now she's jamming out. Oh, Lauren, I doubt you're still here, but I'm really glad that you came out to the sprint tonight, or out to the stream tonight and chatted. All right, Alley Cat, I understand if you need to head out. It is getting really late. It's almost 4 o'clock in the morning my time. So I can imagine for you what time it is now. Although I'm glad that the music was keeping you going. I didn't deliberately pick something that had music. I guess I should have paid more attention to the fact that it does say that's a countdown timer with music. Should have actually, read the whole title instead of just the whole 15 minutes dance of colors part. Man, I have the hiccups. Something fierce. I don't know if it's I need to eat something or what's going on. Probably should eat something, but all I've got's like leftover Chinese right now, and I'm really not feeling the leftover Chinese at the moment. Let's see. So, all right, yeah. So what were y'all able to get done during that time? Let me see here. So Natalie's books are part of a 9-book series. She's currently drafting book 4, then doing a rewrite of books 2 and 3 for their re-release. I know how that is. I've got my 2 books, A Touch of Darkness and A Touch of Madness. It is officially A Touch of Darkness's 10-year anniversary. It's been out. It's crazy to me that it's been out for that long, but it's officially its 10-year anniversary this June. So I am getting ready to re-release it, both of them actually, for the anniversary editions with new covers and some, not rewritten, but just revised a little bit with new edition and some added stuff to them. So I know how that is. I'm working on those. Not at the moment, not working on those, but I am working on those. You know what I'm saying. Mega is working on a dark fantasy series called The Awaken. First 3 books of it is called Reversed. There's 20 books in total. Holy crap. I thought I was feeling ambitious with 12 books in my Metaphysical Chronicles series that I have plotted out, but geez, 20 books, that's a lot. Can only imagine. So Maka was able to get back into figuring out the scene, and so glad for it. Finally figured everything out and can start writing the scene without skipping anything. That is awesome. I am glad that I was here with the stream this evening, that you could go ahead and keep your momentum going from Brooke's stream earlier. So that is really awesome to me. It makes me feel like that the stream for tonight wasn't just solely about keeping me preoccupied and keeping me productive, but also helping out other people, which is all about what my channel is about. So Sage did a very little bit of scripting, but also managed to get a hold of Mr. Sage. Seems unlikely he'll be home today because that sucks. I'm sorry. I know you were looking forward to him being able to, be able to come home today, and I know the animals were looking forward to him coming home today too. Alley Cat saying 59 edited words. It's almost 5 here. Night, morning, afternoon, whatever. Good luck, and this was fun. I'm glad, Allie, that you had fun tonight, and thank you so much for coming out to the stream and joining me after Book's stream. I really appreciate that. Stephanie submitted their essential oil final draft. After a year, I feel so yay! After 2 weeks of just nothingness, it was a great push today. That is so cool. So I'm actually feeling pretty good because I don't normally write on the weekends. So this has been really nice to be able to write on the weekends and write during kind of an odd time where usually there aren't a whole lot of sprints that are going on in the middle of the night. So I'm hoping that it was helping out some people, that to where it isn't the middle of the night for some people, but also just helping out those where it is the middle of the night. You are very welcome, Alley Cat. Yeah, I agree, Sage. I'm glad that at least he's staying and he's getting better so that he doesn't have to go back later. So I am glad to hear that. So I managed this last time around. Let's see how many words I managed. I did a lot of staring at my screen for anybody who looked up at any point in time. Because again, the scene, I don't know what it is about it, man. It's just not, I'm just really pulling the words out of nowhere. So I got 235 words this time around, which again, I'm not going to sneeze at any words at all, but yeah. So Mika is gonna go do some housework. No problem. Yeah, feel free to join in any of my sprints again. I normally stream. I pop up a lot lately, but I normally stream on Fridays from 3:30 till 5:30 p.m. Eastern time, if that helps Mika. But of course, hit the notification bell and it'll let you know anytime I pop up, because believe me, when I pop up, it is really random. So I will see you later. Have a good day, and hopefully your housework is quick and painless. Sage realized that the video they've been scripting is actually 2 separate videos, and talking about Silkflower Goodbye gave me ideas for another video, so I should have a month's content sorted. That is awesome. I actually just finished editing a video too that it was one video, but it was such a long video that I realized I'm going to have to split it into 2 different videos, but I'm going to have to go back and I'm going to have to film some more stuff to go with the second part of it, because so it ended up being, when it was all together, it ended up being like a 22-minute video. And once I pulled stuff out of it and cut it down to an appropriate length of video, which is closer to like 11 and a half minutes, now the second bit of information that I pulled out of it, it's going to need like some introduction, and it's going to need some lead into it, where it would have had it normally in the video, but it's not going to have it now because I pulled it out. So I'm going to have to go back and I'm going to have to like film a little bit more to go with it and make it into a second video. But I'm really glad that you were able to get an extra video out of talking about your book with me tonight. So that is pretty cool. So I'm kind of curious, how did talking about that give you an idea for another video? Are you just talking about like your launch before like launching it before the lockdown, or is there something else about it that made you think about it, or was it about the titles? I'm kind of curious now. I'm just interested. Good. I'm glad that made sense, because it was kind of a rambling mess in my head, so I wasn't sure if it actually came across as making sense to anybody. Because as my partner puts it, my brain is 2 + 2 = fish. So I don't always make a ton of sense whenever I say things out loud, because what's going on in my brain makes total sense sometimes. And then what comes out of my mouth isn't always what makes sense, because I don't always follow my exact thoughts in my brain, because if I did, people would be like, what the hell? They'd just be like, what the hell? So I'm thinking that, I've been streaming now for just about 2 hours, and normally I do 2 hours for my streams, but really I could do as much time as I want tonight, because it's not like I'm going anywhere, and it's not like I'm still beyond freaking tired at this point, but my brain is still telling me it is not going to lay down. I know, because I've got that weird restless, like I've got restless feet going on, if you could like see my feet underneath the desk, and that always tells me when my brain is going just a mile a minute in the background, and that means that as soon as I try and close my eyes, then all of that background noise that's going on is just going to be like at the front of my brain. So I know me quite well at this point. So Sage wants to talk about self-publishing in South Africa, specifically the issues that face those of us who don't have the luxury of having Amazon and Ingram right on our doorstep. That makes sense. And I think that would be a really good thing to cover in a video, because I think a lot of people are definitely under the misconception that Amazon and Ingram are just global and that access to them is super easy. So I think it would be really good to have, I know I would be interested in watching that video and finding out more about what the publishing process is like in South Africa. I'd be interested in watching that video in just about anywhere. I watch videos here like from other authors from the US that talk about their publishing process and what it took for them to go through their publishing, or their own publishing process and their own publishing journeys. And I know what that journey is like. I've done that journey. I've done it in both traditional publishing and I've done it in indie publishing. So I know what it's like. And I still watch those. So I would be fascinated to watch other countries and what it's like. Sage likes to keep videos between 5 and 10 minutes edited. I don't have the brain power to focus for longer than that. I do too. I tend to keep my videos, usually I try and keep them under the 12-minute mark, and they're usually somewhere between 7 to 12 minutes. Those are the videos that I like to do. Mainly because I can't figure out how to get a video in less than 7 minutes usually. And part of that is just because I'm a chatty bitch. And I overtalk things a lot. So, yeah, that's just kind of, I tend to overtalk things a lot, or I talk through the process a lot. And so it's wonky to try and edit some of that out. Also, it's just me, and that's just how I talk and how I do videos. It's how I go through the process of explaining things to people. So yeah, I'm on Amazon and Ingram, but I can't order copies from them because the shipping is insane. I can't imagine that the shipping would be insane. Oh, this is cool. Natalie suggested your book to a friend who runs a poetry club. That is awesome. Yay, I'm glad that my stream could help you to connect. So hopefully the poetry club, hopefully that they like your book, Sage. That would be so cool. All right, let's see. Oh, well, now Natalie is saying that the cover looks awesome. I wasn't going to go look it up. I was going to look it up later, but now I have to see this cover. And now that she said that, now I have to know. I have to know now. Oh, Silk Flower Goodbye. Let's just see what this bad boy looks like. Ooh. That is really pretty. And you designed it yourself, which is really cool. All right, so let's show my screen right now. It's not going to be the greatest at the moment, but that is really cool. So that is what Sage's book looks like. And, well, now, Natalie, now I have to go look yours up again. Or now I have to look yours up. Let me go back and pull the name of your book again so that I spell it properly. All right, I see the second book. Okay, well, we'll just go pull you up. Book 2, book 1. Here we go. You have lots of books, Natalie. All right, so Natalie's book, so we can promo some folks. This is the first book in the Wolf Riders of the Keldara series. This is called Tainted Truth. So that is the first book. So there we go. I write big books, and you cannot lie, right? You write big books and you cannot lie. Da, 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 da. I'm sure that's exactly, what you were expecting on my stream was me to just start singing big butts to your book, kind of a thing. So Sage definitely thinks it's shiny. It is shiny. So I wish I had a near finalized copy or file for the cover of my anniversary editions of my books. I wish I had. I have a work in progress, but it's not quite there. So I would go ahead and share it so that you guys could kind of see it, but it's the file that I have is not quite there. It's got a bunch of me having drawn on it in Photoshop saying, change this, do this, change this, do this. So Natalie designs their own book covers too, though they also use designers for other covers. Yeah. So I design a lot of my own covers, but I also occasionally hire out. So there's, I do a lot of my own. I do a lot of graphic design, like for a lot of my marketing and things like that. That's all my own graphic design and stuff like that. But when it comes to book covers, I learned pretty early on that I shouldn't do my own book covers. I can do components of my own book covers, but I need to have a professional book cover designer put them together. And so I've always done my own components, and then I've had a cover artist that has then put them together properly and made them function and look like they are professional and should be professional. Like I did my own design work for my last book, Karaoke Jane, and I did the artwork for it, and I put together all the font for it, but the coloring and all the effects and things like that, I went ahead and let the cover artist put it all together and like smooth it all out and make sure that all the colors worked together on the color wheel and that what I wanted would look okay. Let's see, I'm seriously thinking about whether or not I want to keep streaming for a little bit longer or if I want to try to lay down. Probably not going to lay down. I'm going to end up watching Netflix. Let's face it. I'm going to end up watching Netflix. That's another stupid ad on YouTube. All right, so I just muted y'all for a second so that you didn't have to hear the State Farm ad that came up on YouTube for the next timer. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and keep streaming. There's not a whole bunch of people watching right now, which is fine by me. I don't care. Nobody could be watching. I would still be on here streaming, just talking to the void. And yeah, I'd still be doing this because let's face it, I'm not going to sleep. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to sleep at all until some point later. I mean, I'm going to be like, you guys are going to see me. I'm going to be like in my 6 hours streaming or something later on and be like, this is the only thing that's keeping me occupied. And, otherwise I'd be laying there twitching in bed and be like, I can't go to sleep. I can't go to sleep. But my whole body would be like, you are so tired. You are so tired. Sage says, yeah, I'm not a proper designer, although I've done covers for other friends and other projects that aren't mine. I probably won't do the covers for my fiction, but I'll keep doing for my poetry. I think that there's a simplicity of cover art when it comes to poetry that I'm not going to say it's easier to do, but because because cover art for poetry tends to have that simplicity to it, I think it's a little easier to do, or it's a little easier to put together the design and have it be as professional looking. But with fiction, cover art tends to be a lot more complicated, even if it's abstract. And so I think that tends to be, because you're trying to get so many themes. Like poetry cover art doesn't seem to represent a specific theme necessarily. It does, but it doesn't. Yes, thank you for saying it better than I could say it, Sage. I appreciate it. There is a minimalism that you can get away with in poetry cover art, where you can't get away with that same minimalism in fiction cover art, because readers expect more. They expect to be given a story with the cover art itself, whereas poetry readers, they expect that it's what's in between the covers, not what's on the cover, that is as important. Natalie, I think I was in the same way with not being able to sleep. Sometime around 3 a.m. my time, decided to work a bit on my book. 2 hours later, I'm too into my writing to stop anytime soon. So yes, it is officially 4 a.m. my time. And I won't say that I'm into my writing that much, but this scene is pissing me off just enough that I want to keep going on it. So I'm gonna keep going on it because I want this scene done so that I can get to the next scene. And I know that I can give myself total permission to totally skip this scene and be like, write this later when your brain is more into it. But I know that at the tired state that I'm at, my brain is just gonna worry at this scene like a dog on a bone, and it's going to distract me from whatever future scenes I need to write, if that makes sense. So even though I could skip ahead to something that I like better, or that I'm doing better, or that I could write better, I think it's going to have that effect to where I won't be able to write it as well. Just because of this scene that I can't write as well, but is so necessary in my stupid book. So let's go ahead and do another 15 minutes. And we can do in 3, 2, 1, sprint. No music for this one. guess that would help if I had actually unmuted myself. So that is the end of that sprint. Let me know how you did. I doggedly plodded through that particular scene a little bit more and managed to get a whopping, I know it was not very much, managed to get a whopping 162 words. Again, not going to complain because any words are good words. So that is a good thing to be able to still keep writing, even if they're not the greatest words, even if they're not the greatest words. Yeah, I don't forget very often, Sage, but every so often I will forget to do it. Mainly because usually, I'll usually let the timer go off and have no problem, but I knew this timer didn't actually have an ending beep. So I just, muted everything rather than having the mic be open for it. But, totally just forgot to do it this time. Part of it could be the fact that I am, sleep deprived and a little addle-brained. And I am starting to finally feel a little bit brain drowsy. So I'm hoping that that's a good sign. I'm thinking probably another half hour or so and I will be actual brain drowsy. I know I'm starting to feel it like facially wise because I'm not nearly as animated as I would normally be. But Sage scripted one paragraph, then went back in and rewrote because I didn't like it, and then rewrote it again because structure. Yeah, I know how you feel about that, or I know how I feel about that. Sometimes you just have to go back in and rewrite it. I have a feeling that this whole section of the scene that I'm working on for my manuscript is going to have to be heavily rewritten at some point, but right now, I just want to get most of it out and just want to get the word vomit out and onto the page so that I can get past it and I not have it at the back of my brain because I know I have enough stuff going on in life right now. I don't know, other people I know, other writers have the same issue where if you've got a lot going on in your life, then it distracts you from your writing. And I do have enough going on in my life to be distracted from my writing, but I'm not going to let myself be distracted from my writing. If that makes sense. I've been really hardcore to my schedule and even doing more, doing these pop-ups and things like that over the last week, doing more and adding into my schedule even more. So I've been doing that, trying not to be distracted from my writing because I don't like for my life to intrude too much on my writing. I've gone through stages where I've done that before, where my life has intruded to the point where, it has intruded to the point where I don't write at all and I get completely off of my writing schedule. So I try to overcompensate for it later on when I am writing or I've been trying to overcompensate for it so that life doesn't do that to me as much. So I know that's part of it that's going on. Plus, I just, I know that with everything that's going on in my life right now, my brain is just going to latch on to anything that it can potentially worry about, anything that can give it anxiety. It's going to latch onto, and it's going to blow it up into this huge thing that it really isn't. I've written crappy scenes before. I put a whole meme on my Instagram about you can edit a bad page, but you can't edit a blank one. And I very much ascribe to that philosophy in life. Sage saying, it's worse when I forget to mute myself. I share an office with Mr. Sage and noises. Yep. I actually have a whole blog post about this with my depression and Mr. Sage's illness, plus the pandemic. My brain just refused to create with words. So I understand how that is. I understand how that is quite a bit. So I also live with depression and live with anxiety. So I know what it's like to have that get in the way of writing. And for a long time, for the last year, my life was really busy, super, super duper busy. And so I was dedicating a lot to balancing my mental health with like the day job and all of that stuff. So that was, kind of what the last year was about. And that took a lot away from my writing, which I hated at the time because my writing is how I usually deal with my depression. It's usually, how I deal with my depression and deal with my anxiety. And so it was a big deal to me that, I knew that I wasn't doing what I needed to do in order to feel better. And I knew that was my writing. But I also knew that I didn't have enough hours in the day. I didn't have enough time, and I didn't have enough mental capacity to do what I needed to do anyway, as far as my writing went. It would have been all a ton of bad writing that I would have had to go back and fix. I did write a little bit from time to time, and that managed to kind of limp me through and keep me going. So that was good. Natalie's saying the best advice I received was from Orna Ross, who is a friend, who said, the more you write, the better you get. That is very wise advice. It is very wise advice. I do not know who Orna Ross is, but I will have to look up and find out. So, and it is definitely the more you write, the better you get. It's also the more you read, the better you get at writing too, is my opinion, is that you learn more. And with the more you write, the better you get. You definitely learn how to do more in the way of how your own process works and how your own flow works to being a writer and getting the words down on the page in the way that you get them down on the page, because that's going to be different than everybody else's way of getting them down on the page. Natalie's saying that if it wasn't for Orna Ross's advice, when they were at a low point, they might have quit writing, but she kept me going, and all the books you saw on Amazon are because of her. That is really awesome. Now I'm curious. You have piqued my curiosity. I had to find out who Orna Ross. Orna Ross is an Irish author, an Irish novelist, poet, former literary agent, advocate for self-publishing. Cool. All right. Like I said, I don't read that much poetry, and I don't read a lot of historical fiction, which is what it seems like she says that she writes, historical fiction and inspirational poetry. But she has a blog that looks to be pretty interesting. So I may have to go and take a look at her blog. And I am a huge proponent of indie publishing, self-publishing, whatever you want to call it. So I like to know people that are proponents for self-publishing as well. I like to know more. So I will have to go and look at more stuff for her. Oh, well, looky, she's on Twitter, so we'll just go and follow her on Twitter right now, as a matter of fact. I'm pretty sure my roommate is listening to music like super duper loud, and I'm really hoping it's not coming through on the video, because if it is coming through on YouTube, I'll probably have this video flagged for like copyright reasons, which will suck. Royally suck. Okay, I'm now following her on Twitter. So, good to know. New person. Let me see. So Sage was saying, I hear that I had a similar situation, but it was Mark Stay and the bestseller Experiment podcast that got me through. She's the director of Alliance of Independent Authors. Oh, okay. Oh, good. Okay. I'm glad you're not hearing any music. I can only vaguely hear it, which usually tells me that it's super loud and everybody of normative hearing range can really hear it. But it might just be muffled just enough in his room that it's not such a big deal. Okay. So I guess I never paid attention. Oh, excuse me. I guess I never paid attention to who the director was of Ally before. I just know. I follow Joanna Penn like religiously almost, and so I should have known if they work together a lot, then I should have recognized the name. But I guess my brain might actually be getting tired at this point. But I wasn't following her on Twitter, which usually I'm following people on Twitter that that I really actually know and pay attention to. It's pretty rare that I don't follow somebody on Twitter automatically. Like if they're like, especially big proponents of indie publishing. Yeah, I can tell, Sage, at this point, I am finally starting to get tired. My brain is finally starting to get tired because I'm starting to trip over my own words before they come out of my mouth, which normally I just trip over my words as they come out of my mouth, but my brain is starting to trip over them. But it does not matter because I'm not where I need to be on this scene. So I will have to stave it off just a little bit longer, and I'm gonna have to get to a point in this scene because I'm not even to the climatic point of this particular little scene. I'm just before it. And so I need to at least get to the climatic point, and then I can do the letdown of this scene leading into the next scene. I can do the lull at that point. Natalie also follows Joanna Penn. I found Ally because she'd mentioned it during a video. I joined the following day and haven't regretted it ever. Yeah, I know. Ally is absolutely amazing. I've never regretted having joined it. I think it was a blog post of Joanna's that, I'm pretty sure. It's been a while, so it's been a little bit of a while. It's been a hot minute. I get that. I have a list that becomes more and more prominent the more tired I am. So the more tired I get, the raspier my voice gets. So I start sounding like I've smoked a bunch of cigarettes or, shot a whole bunch of whiskey or something, and I get more of a rasp to it. I also get more twang in my voice because I was raised in Southern Indiana, which, if you're familiar with the states at all, Southern Indiana is like on the Kentucky border, and Kentucky is considered part of the South. So it has that Southern redneck, y'all ain't, and stuff like that. So the more tired I get, the more twangy I get. Most of the time I've taken enough voice lessons at this point that I've gotten rid of it. But I also tend to stutter because I had a stutter as a child. So I will trip over words trying to get them out without the stutter. But it means I have to slow down talking, and it means that I have to really focus and concentrate on what I'm saying, which just makes me sound like I'm kind of a little touched. But not so bad. That, just means that I'm finally getting tired, and I can tell that I'm finally getting tired, which is a good thing. But it does not matter because I'm not going anywhere yet. Because like I said, I have a little bit more that I have to go because I have to get through the climax of this scene before I actually can let myself sleep. Because if I don't, I'm going to lose the momentum of this scene. And even if I give myself a couple of notes, I've learned enough over the years for my own writing that right before the climax of a scene, I can't just stop what I'm doing. I have to continue through the climax of a scene, and then I can stop during the falling action or during the lull that is the after part of the climax of a scene. And I think part of it is because I lose the energy that is the momentum of the scene, and it's hard for me to get back into that momentum later. I have to end up doing like some free writing, or I have to do some type of a writing prompt exercise in order to just kind of build up to that frenzy that you get when you're really on a roll and you're really getting up to the climax. I guess if that makes sense. Oh, that's cool, Sage, that your mother-in-law is American. She grew up in Indiana and Kentucky, so you know. Okay. So yeah, I have, I mean, I say y'all anyway. It just slips into my vocabulary anyway. But yeah, the more tired I get, the more twangy I get. The drunker I get, and the more tired I get, the more twangy I get. All right, so let's try another sprint. Let's try a different timer this time. I'm liking the colorful timers, but I might want something more tranquil this time. I don't know. Maybe something more tranquil. If we do another 15-minute sprint, then that will take us right up to about me having streamed for 3 hours, which I'm sure even y'all are getting sick of me at this point. But like I said, I want to push through this climax of this scene. So, oh, if we're going to do something tranquil, then we should probably do, we're going to use Mr. Bob Ross timer. So we're going to use the Bob Ross timer that AuthorTuber Dahlia DeWinters made. It is a pretty cool little timer. Talk about tranquil with his happy little trees. Tranquil is probably good, so you don't amp yourself out of your brain tired. Yes, that's why we're gonna go with Bob Ross. You don't get much more zen than Bob Ross. I am glad that you're not getting sick of me. I'm really glad. Well, you should totally make some food for yourself, though. I should probably eat something as well, but if I'm gonna let myself lay down here in like 20 minutes or so, then I should definitely not eat right before I lay down. So I'll just make sure that I have a really good breakfast when I wake up. All right, so let's go ahead and start this timer. And it's got a little bit of a little microsecond countdown here. And then we will get started now. Okay, that is 15 minutes. Woohoo, I remembered to unmute myself this time. Yay. Okay, good news. I managed to get over the hump of the climax of this particular scene with getting the information down that I need to get down. Let me see how many words I managed to get done this time. It was more. It was more than usual. So, or more than the last time, at least, not more than usual. I've been averaging about 250 words this particular stream, which I'm not going to complain about. So this was 266. So with that, that puts me over 1,000 words for the stream, which in 3 hours isn't the greatest of writing, but I will take it. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna like turn my nose up at it. That is for sure. I've been saying that all night, I know. Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. It is excellent that I was able to get to like this point in the scene, which is nice. This point in this chapter. So of course I still had like 5 notes to make afterwards for like the lull and like how I need the scene to lead out. But once I have the scene lead out, then I'll be on to pretty much the climax of the novel, which I've got to figure out exactly. I've got 2 places where I've got 2 scenes where that can take place. And I did that initially in my outline because I didn't know timeline-wise how realistic it would be. Timeline-wise, how realistic it would be for a character who was injured to suddenly be released from the hospital after a particular scene. So I did that deliberately to where I knew I was going to end up having to determine which in the scene where it was going to take place once I got to it. So Sage is a third of the way through the script for the episode. I'd be further if I didn't keep tweaking things. I know exactly how you feel. Exactly how you feel. I'm almost finished. Natalie is almost finished with the chapter because of this stream. Yay! I was about 20% in the chapter. Now I got about 10% left. I am so happy, Natalie, that, not just me and not just Sage, but, we're all getting stuff done, which I am really glad to hear. Basically, that's why I do my streams. That's why I do all my videos. I do all my videos in order to help people write more and write better. But my streams particularly, that's where I'm trying to, just help people along in the process as much as I can. I think there's something to be said about just doing the writing with people and being a little less isolated. There's something to the accountability of it. Not only the accountability, but the support. And I really like getting the support and feeling the support, like getting not necessarily a pat on the back, but also, yes, getting a pat on the back, honestly, for the work that I'm doing. As writers, we do so much of everything in isolation. We do so much of our work in a vacuum, and we don't always get to hear accolades for the toil that we put into it. So I think it's important that the streams have the support and have the community available to be able to be productive and get done what we're getting done, but also to be able to get a little bit of praise for doing the work that is really hard work that most people don't think is so hard, but it is really hard work. So with that, since I did get to a good place in the stream in order to be able to go to sleep, and since my brain is finally into, I think, sleep mode at this point, I'm pretty sure I could fall asleep without my brain keeping me awake specifically, especially if I turn on something like some very tranquil lights or something like that, which I should be able to do at this stage because my partner is probably so passed out, so dead to the world right now that he won't even notice if there are tranquil lights going on. And since I can still hear Tibetan singing bowls pretty well, I could go ahead and still manage to turn my hearing aids off and still probably hear some Tibetan singing bowls to be able to lull me into a nice tranquil zen and be able to fall asleep a lot easier. Speaking of which, my nice big old yawn right before the end of the stream. So that didn't make anybody tired. If you weren't tired before, then you might be now. So I want to thank everybody for hanging out with me tonight, even if they've already gone. I want to thank everybody for coming and hang out with me. I want to thank Sage and Natalie for sticking with me for this last hour, all by your lonesomes and keeping me company. I really do appreciate it. And also encouraging me to get through this particular scene in my book, which I'm really struggling with. I really do appreciate it a great deal. And so basically, yeah, I think you know who I am, but I will go ahead and, say it anyway. My name is BC, and this is BC Brown Books on my channel, where I host videos about writing better, publishing easier, and marketing your books more effectively. I host, of course, live streams when I decide to pop up and just do them randomly, and also I decide to do them every Friday from 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. I am a 7-time published author with books in the paranormal mysteries, urban fantasy, dark fantasy, contemporary women's fiction, and transgressive fiction genres. And you can find all of my books on Amazon and stuff. And also, if you haven't yet found me on the social medias, you can pretty much find me on all of them at BC Brown Books. So I look forward to connecting more with you in the future and doing more live streams. I'm glad that the streams have really helped you the stream has really helped you this evening, Sage. I had a lot of fun as well, Natalie, and I am glad that you stopped in. So it's not me having you, it's that you stopped in and spent some time with me. I really appreciate it. So sweet dreams to both of you. Have a good day, because I'm pretty sure it's actually day where you're at. So have a good day, and I will see you in the future.